14-year-old Lara, who lived in America, was on her winter holidays. She stayed up late every night and spent her time playing different online games. One night, while searching for a new game, she came across a horror game called the Pressure Game. She had never heard of this game before, which made her very excited. The rules of the game were written in detail, and below them, it was mentioned that if a player quit the game before completing it, they would be haunted for life by an evil spirit named Daruma-san. Lara waited for her parents to fall asleep. Once they were asleep, she locked her room's window and door. She turned off all the lights, closed her eyes, and sat inside the bathtub facing the tap. The second step of the game required her to repeatedly chant a Japanese mantra while washing her hair, which she did. As she finished washing her hair, she noticed an eerie silence. No sounds, no unusual presence in the bathroom. Lara dismissed the game as nonsense and was about to open her eyes when suddenly, she heard the sound of footsteps in the bathroom. The sound grew louder and louder. Then in front of her appeared a woman dressed in tattered white clothes. Her right eye had popped out after hitting a rusty tap, and blood was dripping down, spreading all over the water. Terrified, Lara thought about opening her eyes, but she remembered the rules of the game. She asked the spirit, "Why did you fall?" Following the game's instructions, she walked out of the bathroom without looking back. She couldn't believe what had just happened. She had really felt Daruma-san's presence. Lara was so scared that she froze in fear. She wanted to run away from her house, but she knew that if she didn't follow the remaining steps, Daruma-san would haunt her forever. So, as per the rules, she went to bed and tried to sleep. The whole night she felt as if someone was watching her. Somehow she managed to sleep for a few hours, and by the next morning she felt a bit refreshed. She got up, ate her breakfast, and tried to follow her normal routine. However, as she moved from one place to another, she constantly felt like someone was following her. That afternoon, Lara's mom took her to the supermarket for shopping. Lara hoped that leaving the house would make her feel safer from Daruma-san, but throughout the journey, she still felt like someone was watching her. While shopping, Lara's mom went to another aisle to get cereal, while Lara picked up groceries from another section. Out of the corner of her eye, she saw a woman standing nearby. She quickly turned her head, but there was no one there. Feeling relieved, she turned forward again, only to be horrified. Instead of groceries, she was holding Daruma-san's severed head in her hands. Lara screamed in terror. Just then, her mother called her to the billing counter. When she looked back at her hands, everything was normal. She was just holding regular groceries. Terrified but trying to stay calm, Lara walked to the counter. While her mom was making the payment, Lara handed her the groceries. That's when she saw Daruma-san again. This time, there was a hole where her eye had been. Before Lara could react, the spirit moved closer to her. Suddenly, she remembered one of the game's rules. She quickly shouted a specific phrase and ran out of the supermarket. Her mother, shocked by her behavior, chased after her and asked what was wrong. But Lara was too scared to answer. Her mother hurriedly took her home. On the way, Lara saw Daruma-san following their car. The faster her mother drove, the faster Daruma-san moved toward them. As soon as they reached home, Lara screamed the phrase again and ran inside. She was now burning with a fever, trembling with fear. She ran from room to room trying to escape Daruma-san. What had started as a horror game had now become the most terrifying experience of her life. Lara decided to follow the final step of the game and end it once and for all. But every time she tried to face Daruma-san and complete the ritual, she failed. Her head pounded with fear, and her parents couldn't bear to see her in such a state. They gave her sleeping pills and stayed by her side until she fell asleep. When Lara woke up, she found herself in the bathtub. She felt like someone was holding her down. She turned around in horror. Daruma-san had grabbed her and was laughing hysterically. Lara screamed the final word needed to end the game. According to the rules, Daruma-san should have disappeared. But instead, she laughed even louder. Lara suddenly lost consciousness. It felt like she was drowning in the bathtub. When she woke up, she was in her bedroom, drenched in sweat. She looked at the clock. It was 12:30 a.m. A new day had begun, and Lara had failed to complete the game in time. Terrified, she ran to her mother and hugged her tightly. From that day on, every night, Laura had the same nightmare. Daruma-san drowning her in the bathtub. And then one day, Laura was found floating in her bathtub. People only learned about Pressure Game after Laura's mother found her diary, where she had written everything. Would you dare to play such a game?